and welcome to Mr. Bake Snacks, where today we're going to learn about strategic planning with mission and vision. My name is Jason Ewing, and I'll be going over with you today the framework for developing out your mission, vision, and how you align your strategies with that mission and vision to hopefully come out with a very clear direction for your team, your business, your department, whichever it is. Go through and show you some examples, and I'm also going to go through some other tools that I've used to help make a more complete strategy. So here we go. So this is the framework, the basic framework for developing that aligned strategy. Starting at the top, you always want to build your plan top down. But your plan should always align bottom up, as you can notice by the blue arrows. The mission is at the top, and that asks the question why we exist, why your business, why your organization, what is your whole purpose for being in existence. Your vision outlines where you want to be, your core values, how the organization or folks are going to behave. Behavior is usually indicative of the culture in which you want to develop in your organization. Core strategies, that's where we will focus. Priorities is broken out into these two areas. And that answers the question is, what are we doing now? There are long-term strategic priorities that drive towards those differentiating, that differentiates the vision. And then your operating priorities. You're focused on your short-term, high-impact performance improvement initiatives. I'll go through this today here in the next 15 minutes and touch on each one of these things and show you some clear examples. Business mission statements. Why we exist. That's the question that gets answered. George Fox University, their mission statement is this: George Fox University, a Christ-centered community, prepares students spiritually, academically, and professionally to think with clarity, act with integrity, and serve with passion. In this mission statement that they have, answering the question why they exist sits in this bold area. They prepare students spiritually, academically, and professionally. That's why they exist. Micron Technology's mission statement is to be the most innovative and cost-efficient provider of memory-based solutions. The vision of your organization answers the question of where you want to be. I've threw this slide in here so that you can see and help differentiate between a vision and a dream. A vision, you can see yourself on top of the mountain. A dream, the mountain comes to you. So when you set a vision, you've got to be able to see what that looks like. Your staff, your employees, your organization really needs to be able to, in their minds, see what that looks like, to be up on top of the mountain. In a vision statement, you don't want to be super clear, because many times you're defining a lot of those things and that clear vision along the way. So an example here is Toyota. Their vision statement is to become the most successful and respected lift truck company in the United States. Core values. How will we behave? This defines the culture of your organization. One of the examples here is the Marathon County Board of Supervisors. They adopted 6 core values: service, integrity, quality, diversity, shared purpose, and stewardship of resources. So some organizations have 3 or 4 core values, others have more. A lot depends on whether you are a not-for-profit, a for-profit, a religious for-profit or not-for-profit. It just depends. Core strategies, where we will focus. One example is HPG, which is a greenhouse company. They had people, quality, growth, stewardship, and service. These were the core areas in which they were going to focus all of their attention on that would encompass the organization and be able to lay the foundation for building out and developing key initiatives around each one of these areas. The priorities. What are we doing now? So this is a really important part and almost kind of the fun part of developing out your strategy. So on the left hand side is your long-term strategic priorities. You do two things here. Or you can develop these. I've got two examples here. So the first one is establishing market presence. If that is a longer term, it's not something that's going to be achieved in a month or in 2 months, but it's a little bit longer, usually anywhere from a year to 3 years out is what you set for your long-term strategic priorities. They're short, they're concise, and they're easy to understand. On the right-hand side are more specific, shorter-term initiatives that help align. So in this example of established market presence, over on the right, what does that mean? That means developing out a marketing campaign and an accountable sales program. You still might not know what an accountable sales program actually is or what a marketing campaign is going to be, but that's what your teams then start to develop out what that looks like, and you start to get into projects and different initiatives to help support those things. The second example here is customer-centered service. That's a longer-term strategic priority. A couple of short-term things, just to give you an example here, is like a follow-up program. How you're going to constantly follow up with the customer to make sure that their orders are right, things are in place, they don't need any more, they do or they don't need any more plants or services or product. And then also a customer service training program. So how does the staff going to interact more appropriately with the customers? So here is High Plains Greenhouse's strategic plan, kind of putting this all together. So the mission, provide happier, healthier lives through horticulture. So this gives you an idea of why they exist. Their vision is to transform and lead the horticultural industry in quality, service, and innovation. You can see that. It's a direction. It's up on top of the mountain. Their core values, professionalism, respect, integrity, dependability, and excellence, a term which was used called pride. And then their core strategies, once again, is the people, quality, growth, stewardship, and service. And in parentheses in this plan, the P represents people, Q, quality, and so forth. That's important for these next initiatives. The strategic priorities, those are the longer term ones. Improve facility infrastructure. In a greenhouse, that's probably pretty important. You've got lots of water, you've got glass, you've got drapes, you've got benches, you've got hoses, you've got all sorts of things. Number 2 is establish a customer service program. Number 3, a sales workforce. And number 4, a workforce training program. The operating programs, now this is where the S, E, R, G, and P, they all align with your core strategies up above. So a maintenance program will support improving facility infrastructure. Service, follow-up program. Growth, establish account management. And P on the people side is doing some cross-training of staff. That's all I have for developing out. You should be able to use your framework here to develop out your own plan and strategy. The funnest part about doing this is the getting together and having the discussions and the dialogues with partners, employees, and your community and customers to come out with your plan. Next here I'm going to show you in the appendix that I have are various components of a strategic plan. Once again, mission and vision, things you want to have to contribute as a market analysis, what's happening out there. A stakeholder visioning session, what your current state is, key drivers and objectives, what your future state might be. Changes, how things look today versus how they will look tomorrow. Key initiatives, who owns those initiatives. A roadmap on a 3 to 5 year plan, when things are actually going to happen. What's the set of guiding principles that will help you in your decision making? And what does success look like? What we call is the critical success factor. And once again, a good friend of mine named Kirk Malin said, a strategic plan should tell a story. Here's a sample. I won't spend time on this, but the top 20 company core values that are out there. And then guiding principles, give you some examples here of what you could use. And some critical success factors. Some questions you can ask yourself is, how will we know when we have arrived? What's clear, distinct, and measurable? And when will we achieve it? And here's a sample of that. Enterprise architecting really kind of outlines your drivers. Really, what is your problem statements that the organization's faced with? What are those key objectives? What are your benefits that you're expecting to get from that? And can you measure that? A benefit without a measurable is not a benefit. And then enabling changes. What's going to have to take place in order to support those initiatives? And who are the stakeholders impacted by those changes? And what are some of those deep down rooted solutions to help solve the problem? I love enterprise architecting. And here's Dissecting Whirlpool. I won't spend a lot of time, but what their vision, what their core values are. Just some samples. And that wraps us up for today. I want to thank you guys for listening, and I hope it's been beneficial for you. I'm going to talk to you today about strategic planning with your mission, vision, and core values. How to go about doing it. This is a simple template that most people can use to develop out their plan. The most value in this is really kind of the process that you go through. So here's the framework for an aligned strategy with an organization. And so at the top you start with your mission, which is really answering the question, why we exist. What's the purpose of the organization? What is it even in existence for? And then your vision. And I like to look at vision as the place that you can see, that employees and staff members can kind of see yourself up on top of that mountain. What does that kind of look like? Not in any detail, but gives a direction in which people want to go. We'll show some examples of these things here in a minute. The other is the organization's core values. In other words, how we will behave. So, do we behave in a manner that shows and demonstrates integrity, honesty, or do we, have other types of behaviors that don't, that the company believes in? So sometimes it's really good to articulate what your values are, because that's what helps determine what your how people make decisions, and then when people don't make and act in opposite of your core values, like respect, they're not respectful to folks, then they end up, you have to work on getting them out of the organization. Core strategies are areas in which you want to focus on, and what are those as a company? And then your priorities, where kind of answering the question, what are we doing now? These all kind of roll up and build on each other. Down here in the lower left is really your strategic priorities. So of all of that, what's driving you towards the long-term differentiating vision? What are those things? And then the operating priorities support those strategic priorities. So focusing on short-term, high-impact performance improvements. So you can list out several of those in your company, department, whatever it is. So starting here with mission, why we exist. Business mission statements. Here's some examples. George Fox University says that for them, Christ-centered community, here's where their mission is and why they exist. Prepare students spiritually, academically, and professionally to think with clarity, act with integrity, and serve with passion. So you can see the core values that they're kind of articulating here. But in here, prepare students spiritually, academically, and professionally. That's why they exist. Micron Technologies, their mission is to be the most innovative and cost-efficient provider of memory-based solutions. So that's why they exist.